Welcome back to the podcast. We've got my friend Ann Carden with the Expert in You podcast and all the information you need to know to figure out how to make $1 million. She's going to show you today how to add $1 million to your revenue, and it's not that hard. So look, right, sit down and pay attention. Write this down. You're going to learn some great stuff today. Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony. It's great to be here. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm coming. Entrepreneurs all the time. I go, well, I'm going to grow my company. Look, adding $1 million of revenue to your program isn't that hard. Let's dive into, where do we start with them? And what I mean by that is, look, guys, there's this wanting to do it and actually doing it. If you listen to Ann, she's going to show you what to do this.
Yeah, so I want to simplify things for you. So many people are really building their business in what I call the hard way, which is a volume business. And one of the things that I do is help people who want to add that multiple 6 or 7 figures with a handful of clients. So think about this. You get 10, $100,000 clients, you've got $1 million business. You get 20, $50,000 clients, you have $1 million business. Or even smaller, you get 40, $25,000 clients. And then you just need to put the process in place to be able to make that happen.
I find that whole game of chasing the low, the new entrepreneur does it all the time. They don't understand their value. They're also plagued by needing to generate revenue, right? Oh my God, I got to get paid payroll. I got to pay my bills. So all of a sudden, I think a lot of decision logic goes into that. Take what you can get or beg for what you get. And it ends up having a real frustrating, most people burn out before they get anywhere.
Absolutely. And I went down that rabbit hole when I started coaching and consulting 15 years ago and couldn't figure out, I had built a lot of businesses and sold them. And I'm like, what is wrong here? What is wrong with this business? And it was all the strategies I was being taught about volume and go low. And I was even taught to bring in clients at no fee at all and then help them get results and then you get paid, except that I was the only one that was putting in the effort and the energy and the skin in the game. And so I took a step back and I said, what is wrong here? And I really thought about what have I done in the past to build businesses that have created success? And what I realized is, oh my gosh, it's premium, go high, start high. And then everything else becomes a downsell versus trying to upsell people. It's a very different model. Also, people don't leverage their expertise, their skills, their knowledge. It's like they're trying to maybe sometimes learn things. What do I build a business around? Take what you're already great at. It's the simplest model in my opinion. But I had to kind of figure that out the hard way.
Well, I think that part of it is not understand when you say not understanding your value. Look, I'm new. I come walking in there. The understanding that I can ask for more money isn't in the language of a new entrepreneur most of the time. Right. Having a coach like you that says, hey, look, stop. Let's not go run out the volume game. Let's not go run down that path. In fact, I would tell you, when I talk to entrepreneurs, the ability to say no is probably more important than the ability to say yes. Now, that doesn't mean no in a vacuum where I just, work comes in, I just don't take it. Go work hard to get work, right? But and that's the key. You got to be able to go out and generate opportunities. But the more of that you can generate, then you can be choosy about what you pick. So I think you got to do kind of that both thing, but being real cognizant of, don't just jump into the first thing that you find.
Well, so true. And also if they're doing something that they've already done before, they've already been successful at it, that might have been in a job, in a career. You take what you already know. It might, even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have just rocked that out, that could be your thing. You could build a business around it. But the problem is that I see in the market, in the industry, is people are trying to teach everybody the funnel route. And the funnel route doesn't work for everyone. If you can work with high level CEOs or you've come from a career and you have services that companies can use, they're never going to go through a funnel. So if you don't understand these things, and if you said, I had a client one time say, if I wouldn't have pitched them $50,000, they probably would have laughed at me because they wouldn't have thought I was serious or that I was very good. And that's exactly right. if you don't value the what you bring to the table and what you can actually do, other people won't either. So it's really about strategy. It's really about learning how to package, market, and sell that. And one of the mistakes, and you even said it, know your value. One of the mistakes people make is they make the value about them, and it's never about us. It's not
Mhm.
about us. It's about what we are delivering to the client or to the customer. And that's the value people are buying. It's not about us at all. They just want to know you're the person that can deliver what you say you can. That's
And
it.
the problem is if you become the value, you just bought yourself a job.
Exactly.
Right. And it's, there's no, to run a company, you've got a bit of work on the company, right? Not as much in the
Mhm.
company. Here, now, look, young entrepreneurs, I'm not telling you, you're not going to have to work hard on every part of it. Cause look, when you're starting out, it takes relentless energy to grow business and you kind of got to do a lot of everything. But I think what we're really trying to get you to focus on is don't get caught up in using up all of your energy on the revenue that's not really going to create great value.
Exactly. And or selling one little thing when you can do a lot of things. And sometimes it really comes down to a lot of times they're just very confused. They don't have that clarity around how to structure their business. Maybe they're new to business and they don't really understand business or what makes revenue really, or what really generates revenue, and what makes a good business model and what doesn't. And that is where someone like myself or a coach or a consultant that really knows what they're doing can really help you, because it's a faster path. But there's also a lot out there that you can learn from to get off on the right foot. It's really about getting off on the right foot if you're just starting. But Anthony, I work with people that have been in business for years and they've never hit the revenue that they want. They've never even hit six figures, and I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" And so they show me, and there's still a lack of clarity. There's still no real structure. They still don't really know what the value is that they can bring to the market. They don't know how to position it. They don't know how to market it, and so they stay on this hamster wheel. Bring in a client for a little bit of money, and then I go out and chase the next ones, and they really don't understand that there is a process, but there's a systemized process to being able to really build a high-end lucrative business.
I think you're covering a lot of stuff. For and I want to kind of bounce into that because there's something about being an entrepreneur that what you were talking about comes into effect where, when I first started CDO Group 28 years ago, there was no such thing as outsourced, commercial, construction management support. Right, I would call
Mm-hmm.
customers up, and we were literally inventing the business while we were flying the plane and building it at the same time.
Right.
There was no industry for outsourcing then.
Mm-hmm.
And we would call people up and they're like, no, we already have a GC. I'm like, no, we don't want to be a GC. We want to be your project managers. Oh, we already have project managers. And I was, no, we just want to do your overflow work. And we would really, and as we would talk, we would start to invent it. Now, some
Mm-hmm.
of that's, I think, natural, right? I think there's kind of a
Right.
natural part to developing your business. Now, the problem is some of that also came from, I didn't value myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as I did work on, because the entrepreneur is always the bottleneck, right?
Right. Always.
Right. And as the bottleneck, if I can't see myself as this big, valuable person, right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to sell to be big and valuable. Because even if you use the word to say that, it's almost like a smell. Like they can
Right.
smell it on you. They can smell your insecurity or
Mm-hmm.
your inability to stand in a presence that says, "Hey, confidence and ability
Mm-hmm.
and wherewithal to run their program or do whatever the work is that you're doing as an entrepreneur." So I think a little bit of that is, in developing a business, there's some part of that that's natural, right? I think there's a little bit of that figuring out, all right, just how to show up every day to make
Mm-hmm.
money on this, and then how am I going to structure the deals? But from there, if you're constantly doing and you're years and years and years and into this, you got to start looking at yourself and going, all right, what part do I have?
What's wrong?
Right. What's
Mm-hmm.
the language I'm using? What's the way that I'm
Mm-hmm.
acting? What's the behavior that I am that's causing these customers not to see the value or me not to be able to speak to the value of us?
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And, I even remember when I first started my coaching business, after selling multiple businesses and getting into this, and it was a kind of a different model from what I had been used to doing. And I remember, okay, I want to see if I can help people business coach. So I knew a lot of business owners from networking. And I went to the first business owner that I was friends with. And I said, hey, I want to see if I can do this. And I want to make sure my skills are transferable. Will you let me coach you in your business? And I'll only charge you, it was a little bit of money, and I'll charge you 90 days and I'll charge you that much a month. And she said, sure, I'll do it for that. And the first week, she ran a 300% increase in her retail store, and she had been struggling. It was then I said, okay, I know that I know how to help people. And then I did that with one more client, and I uncovered a $500,000 opportunity that was sitting right there in their business. And I said, I know what I'm doing. And it was after that that I raised my prices, that I changed everything. And so, if you are going to kind of build that confidence, or you feel like you maybe need to build that confidence, go do one or two jobs. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't stay there. Don't stay in that place. Go do one or two jobs, figure out where the value was for the client, what you achieved, what you did, and then you can add that into the how you package and market and sell yourself. Or go work for a corporation if you're coming from a career and you know how to do tech or whatever. Go do a job for someone, and then look at the value and even ask them, what was the value of this to your organization, to your company? There's so many ways to figure that piece out, but people still kind of a lot of times fly by the seat of their pants, and they don't really dial it in. But it is hard to do for yourself. I'm just going to say
Well,
that
just,
it
I
is.
mean, I think that if they could, they would, right? I mean, I don't
Mhm.
think that anybody's been malevolent and going, well, I'm going to keep myself back.
Right.
I just really believe it gets stuck in your head. And,
Yeah.
like any great coach, I mean, most of the time, you look at the Phil Jacksons and the Michael Jordans. Look, for sure, Michael Jordan knew how to play basketball way better than Phil Jackson, but Phil Jackson was on the outside of Michael's head, right? And being able to see
Mhm.
that, or Scottie Pippen, or the Bulls team back in those, I'm dating myself by going back to those guys.
Well, I
But
know
yeah,
who you're talking about, so you're dating me too.
right. I mean, I mean, like those guys knew how to play basketball way
Mhm.
better than Phil Jackson did. But Phil Jackson had the ability to look at them differently, right? To be able to look at them
Mhm.
outside. And I think that's what's a great job about a coach like you, is that, look, throughout my career, I've had amazing coaches come in to my companies and look at my thoughts, actions, and behaviors. Now, all of them are different, right? Some have worked
Right.
on our culture, some have worked on me, some have
Mhm.
worked on our economics. All of them, I think, are valuable in, having a great coach and somebody that you can trust and you can be vulnerable with,
Mhm.
right? Brings a gift that entrepreneurs, listen, I'm telling you, the best gifts I've ever had have come from coaches that have been able to look at me and go, look, here's what you can't see it, but you're
Right.
doing X and you're doing Y. And then
Mhm.
if you trust them enough to go, yeah, if you get away, drop your ego for a second and say, well, here, even when it hurts. I had a
Mhm.
guy who just did some stuff on sales training for us. And at first I was just like, I kind of was kind of a jerk to him a little bit. And then I said, I thought to myself, wait, what was that? That was your ego. You just got to, and I had to call him back and go, hey, I was way wrong. Right?
Mm.
I was off target there. I
Mhm.
think I just got a little embarrassed that when you were, when you're calling me out, you were calling the other guys out. It didn't bother me, but it called me out. But you know what though? I needed that, right? Exactly what
Mhm.
you're saying. You're exactly right. I need
Right.
to make changes in that behavior. And I think that that's the fresh, that's a place where if you want to create healthy environments for your business, is finding that coach to do that with you.
No, I think that's so true. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of business owners and entrepreneurs in over 80 different industries as a coach. And I can tell you that ego is a huge player in their business, in stopping them, in stopping their growth. Thinking that number one, you don't have to know everything. You don't. So kind of put that at rest, because one of the things business owners and entrepreneurs think is that they should know everything. They should be the end all be all, and they should just know it all. Well, unless you went to business school, marketing school, sales school, running team school, unless you did all of that and you have all that experience, what makes you think you should know that all of that, right? It's things that you have to learn as you're doing it. Now, you can speed your success by having great coaches or having great mentors, people that are helping you, like you said, see it. But ego is a huge piece that stops people, and they have to realize that you let that go and just watch what happens. Just let that go and realize that it's not about you. It's not personal at all. When a coach is showing you something, it's not personal. It's either a habit you've created, it's a behavior that they know you'll get better results if you change. It's something that isn't going to work in your business. They have the experience and the knowledge to know that, or at least show you what they believe will happen if you go that path. Let your ego go and open yourself up, and that's where you can get the biggest leaps in your business.
The biggest. I mean,
Mhm.
it's hard, right? Because hey, no one told you that this was going to be easy. Those entrepreneurs, those
Right.
guys have been out there for a long time. Look, growing a business is not easy, right? The you're chewing glass and looking over the abyss all day long, as Elon Musk likes to say. I mean, nothing walks in my office that isn't on fire and full of barbed wire, right?
Hmm.
It just it is the part of that's what the leader does. A leader has to handle the biggest problems that are out there, the easy ones, the stuff that's no problem. But every given day, if I solve, the top 5 problems of the day, I do that 5 days a week. That's 25 problems. If I do that 50 times a year, I do that every week for the year. I now have solved the biggest problems in our company throughout this year. Now we have a shot of really moving forward. But
Yeah.
that's going to take some let go of the ego and when
Hmm.
you find out you're the problem.
I was going to say, don't be the problem. You don't have to be the problem.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, but that's the start when we have problems in the business. And instead of looking outward, I look inward,
Hmm.
right? When I look outward, I kind of have this. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did this. I can't believe that person.
Hmm.
And I'm a kind of a victim to them, right?
Right.
When I turn it backwards and I start to look at myself, I now have agency, right?
Yes.
I now have some agency in going, oh, how could I be responsible for the performance of that team? How could
Right.
what I did set them up to not be successful? How am I not communicating with them or creating communication tools for them or others
Hmm.
that are, that aren't working?
It's actually really liberating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you realize that you have control over your business and people don't think, I think one of the biggest eye openers, Anthony, was like years ago in one of my businesses. And I thought, and I worked with my first coach, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have control over this stuff. And I'll never forget what that felt like. And it was like, wow, now that I know I have control over this, I can change it. I can fix it. I can do better, right? It's when you think you don't, and when you're blaming and you're sort of the victim in your business, which is not true at all. The buck stops with you. If you own the company, if you're the CEO, if you are the driver of that business, the buck stops with you. You're responsible for everything that goes on, everything. And who's making the decisions, who's calling the shots. And if you don't like a decision that you made, then it's up to you to get to change that. So it is really, to me, it's really freeing to know that you have control over the success of something that you're trying to create. I think it's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
No, it's really exciting. Now I have agency. Now I
Yeah, who
have,
likes to be in the dark, right? And think,
yeah,
oh, I
right.
have no control over this.
That's great.
Mhm.
When we look at the simple steps to move that forward, when we're looking at our time versus value, how do I start to calculate that and understand my value?
Mm, this is such a great question. A lot of people think of value, they're still in sort of a time for money model. And I really want to challenge that thinking if you are doing services. So, one of the things to look at now, it depends. If you're doing everything done for you, then that's one thing. But if you're like me, where you're coaching people and you're consulting people and advising, I look at, if we do this in your business, what's going to be the impact of that? And then price accordingly. Because here's what I tell my clients when I move them from, selling something for a few $1,000s to 50,000, and they say, I don't even know if I could sell this for 50. And I said, let me ask you something. How much money has it taken you to learn what you've learned. And they'll say, oh my gosh, hundreds of thousands of dollars. How many years has it taken you to get to the place where you are, to know what you know? Oh my gosh, you know. And so when I start taking them through that process, they're like, yeah, why should I be giving this away? Right? You're the shortcut, you're the speed for someone else to have faster success. So they should pay for that value. You have paid for that with your time that you'll never get back. You've paid for it probably financially. You've paid for it with sacrifice. And when you own that value, that you can bring to the market, you'll quit undervaluing yourself. And I think that's probably the best way I can say it. When you really realize, no, you know what? I shouldn't be giving this away, which is what happened to me in the very beginning. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I just showed them $500,000 that's sitting right there in their business.
I
Why did I only charge them this? And then I almost resented the fact,
yeah, right.
like, I mean, I could have burned up that amount of money that they paid me because it was so minimal. I thought, why did, so you have to realize that. And if it's going to, here's a good example. You're a sales consultant, you're going to go in, you're going to work with a sales team, and what you're going to help them do, you already know you can help them increase sales by 20 or 30%. Okay, what is the value of that to that company? So if you look at what would 20 or 30% an increase be to that company, and then charge accordingly. You could charge 10% of that, you could charge 50% of that, and still, I mean, you can assess that way. It's a great way to assess what you should be charging.
I think that's right on. Look, entrepreneurs, if you're looking for that ability to find a gem that can sit down with you and help guide you through this, let's talk a little bit about the magazine and some stuff, other
Mhm.
stuff that you got going on out there. You got a
Yeah,
great.
thank you. Yeah, I also have an agency side of my business where we offer a lot of done for you services. And one of the things I help people do is build a premium business and build their influence and their positioning in the market, so they look like they deserve to get paid what they're asking to get those really high end premium clients. And so one of the ways we do that is we want to get them featured in the media and on podcasts and speaking and things like that. So my agency does that side. But I launched a magazine last year. One of the reasons I did is I wanted to be able to feature some of my clients in that magazine and give them a media feature that they could go and share
Awesome.
with a potential client. And so, but I also do other things in that magazine. I have sponsors and I have people that advertise and things like that. But that was one of the main reasons I wanted to launch it. So it's called Expert in You Magazine, and you can get that at expertinyoumagazine.com. It's a free, it's digital. You can go grab that.
We'll put the link down below to make sure you get there and talk a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast, I interview experts in business, marketing, sales, people that are doing big things to share their best strategies, tips, and secrets, and just really share their expertise. Just like I'm on here, Anthony, doing this with you, I interview people that are doing amazing things too. It's all about helping people grow their business and be a resource. But let them, I also want to help people build their dream and realize that, gosh, we have so much opportunity to build wealth and change our lives today. And it's so much easier today than it has ever been before. So I want to be, I want to be a platform for that.
Look, I feel like that's the gift of, when we work on, growing ideas and like podcast work and the magazine work that you're doing. Look, my real belief is that we all want to shine bright lights on each other,
Mhm.
right? And the more of that we do, the healthier we are, and the truth is, the better the world becomes, right? Instead of all this infighting between folks, if we could really find ways to shine bright lights on each other and just say, hey, look, what a gift you are. Look, even if you have a different opinion than I do, there's some great stuff that I can learn from you and the ideas that you carry and the experience that you have. And look, you certainly have that. And I look, entrepreneurs, I want you to get a coach, have Ann come in and work with you to really create what increase your revenue, your personal revenue, your revenue to the bottom line by $1 million. And, what's that worth to you? Right. Take some time right now and look at the link down below. What's it worth to you to get with Ann and find a way to change your business where you create more revenue. So take a look at that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's so true. The opportunity is there. It's never been there. And I'm with you, Anthony, collaboration over competition, right? And we all can learn. And listen, I have built the most amazing partnerships from doing things like this, getting on people's shows and having people on my show. And I've made friends that have now been friends for years since I first had them on my podcast. So yeah, don't close yourself off.
And it's been, podcasting for me has been this gift, right? Of being able to
I
meet,
love it.
meet
Hmm.
people around the country and meet great entrepreneurs, great
Yes.
ideas. It takes a little bit of work, but I really do feel like it's one of my favorite things to do.
My
I'm an avid reader, and I always feel like I get to read your book by doing a podcast with you.
I love it too. I mean, you learn so much, and again, you can build the best relationships. And I love my podcast too. It's one of my favorite things. And I love guesting on podcasts as much as I love running my own shows. So thank you for having me on here.
Well, we're grateful, audience members. Thanks for being on here. And if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yes, you can go to my website at annlcarden.com. And I have free resources on there, but you can also book a call with me at acarden.com. And I'm all over social. I have a YouTube channel. I follow my podcasts. Like you can Google me. You'll have no trouble finding me.
Listen, if you love this as much as I have, I'm gonna put all the links to that down below. Make sure that you right now go look at that and catch up with Ann. See what it's like to have someone come in and show you how to do it. I promise you, the money you're spending, it's a gift. It's the best money you can spend to grow you and your business. And just so grateful for having you on.
Thanks. I always say they're buying money at a discount.
You are.
Yeah,
Listen,
you
every
are.
dollar
Yeah, I'm
spent.
going to help you make
Yeah,
way more than you have. One client, you'll make more than you'll ever pay me. So, yeah,
absolutely.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, audience members, last week we had 5,000 downloads. It was amazing. Over 5,000, 5,500 downloads last week. It was crazy and really excited about that. But I noticed that more than 45% of you got to the end of the podcast and were not subscribers. If you could take a second and like and subscribe, it means the world to Alyssa and Joe and all the team members in the background to put this together and find us amazing guests like Ann. And just take a second and do that now for me. That'd be really great. And as always, thanks for being here.